Hello everyone and welcome to Club Deck Corner. It's myself today, Ali Pearson, who will be hosting. We're missing a few members today. Carney's away down south. I think you all know that. He's doing a bit of training for his new job. We're missing Jamie and we're missing Ryan as well. So the only guest we've got left to bring on is Scotia. How are we doing, Scotia?
Hi, evening, Pearson. Yeah, it's a very quiet one compared to the ones we've been doing recently, so we'll see how this goes.
It is. To be fair, I think the last ones we've had 4 or 5 of us on, which has been quite decent. But no, fair play. We've stepped up whenever we need. Carney's quite happy that we're doing this for him. So, yeah, hopefully we do well. And you never know, Scotia might get our own show on this. The two of us together.
Fat chance of that happening.
I know. But anyway, we'll dive right into it. So we'll touch on the St Johnstone game straight away. Obviously, I know you, Carney and Jamie did a post-match pod on it. I did listen to myself. It was quite a long podcast you guys did on the debrief on it. I myself, as you all know, was watching it down the pub. So that's where I watched most of the away games down there. But yeah, I mean, I'll touch on my thoughts on the game. I know I spoke to you at half-time. I spoke to Carney, at full-time, and then you obviously come up to the pub afterwards and we discussed it. But I thought St Johnstone played exactly how I thought they would play. I've watched St Johnstone in Europe this season, and I thought they played the exact same. They're a very frustrating team. They know every trick in the book in terms of how to frustrate us, stopping games, slowing the game down. I just thought they did everything I've seen them do in these European ties, and I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised with the route one long ball with O'Halloran with the pace. So it didn't surprise me, to be honest. Obviously, Goldson was the big miss coming into it. That's his first game he's missed for Rangers in 81 games or something, which is some achievement, and it's because of COVID that took him out, so not an injury. But yeah, I thought the first half, I thought Rangers were they take their time this season, Rangers, to grow into games. I feel a couple of half chances. McLaughlin at one point come screaming out his goal and took O'Halloran out the game. It was a yellow. I've seen a few people say it could have been a red, but to be fair, I think he was going away from the goal. But in terms of the first half, Scotia, has your thoughts changed now you've probably had a look at the highlights, etc.?
The highlights were actually just on Sky Football there just before we started recording this on Wednesday evening. So I was sitting watching that while I was waiting on you getting this all set up. My thoughts have changed slightly. Knowing that you're comfortable in the outcome of the game, I feel a wee bit more comfortable with it, but I still think that we're starting games far too slowly this season. We just don't have the intensity. I don't know if that's because we've not managed to get like the full squad, a full pre-season kind of thing. Although obviously last year we had an extended pre-season to get everyone up to speed all together. So I don't know if that's a fact in it. So I'm still a wee bit concerned that we're tending to start games a bit too slowly for my liking. But yeah, having kind of seen the highlights back and watching the extended highlights in RTV as well, I felt more comfortable with the first half than I did at the weekend, I think. But that's just because I know the outcome of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I texted the group chat saying it had shades of Dundee United again. I thought there was a lot of similarities to the Dundee United game. A lot of people have a go at Connor Goldson now and again, but I think he's a huge miss, Connor Goldson, in that back line. I think we've seen at the weekend why Gerrard picks him every single game with a Hollander or a Balogun. I thought Balogun and Hollander, that's the first time they've played together, I'm pretty sure. I thought they looked uneasy at times. I spoke to Carney at full time, and Hollander to me is our best defender, if you know what I mean, in terms of defending. But
natural defender, yeah.
Natural defender, yeah, that's how you describe him. But I did say to Carney, now and again, he has that one game where you could maybe say a bomb scare. I remember Livingston last season, it looked Bambi and Ice. Again, at the weekend, he couldn't get to grips with O'Halloran at all with his pace. He was giving them a hell of a time. And I mean, O'Halloran isn't he a great footballer, but he's got that one thing, which is pace, and it can terrorise defenders at times, especially when St Johnstone's playing a long ball over the top and getting our centre halves turning. But I thought him and Balogun looked a bit shaky at times at the back. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I can agree with that. But as you mentioned, I do think that's the first time they've probably played the full game together. At least, I mean, you say Goldson's played those 81 games there. I think he's played every single minute of those 81 games as well. So, yeah, you could partly put it down to that as well, because they've not played together as a central half pairing. That they did look a wee bit shaky. But all season, I've kind of been a wee bit felt our defence has been looked a wee bit off at times. And again, I don't know if that just comes back to not having the full pre-season or not. But just moments here and there, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're up to speed at all. Even in the Celtic game, there was points of that. We've not hit top gear at all. Rangers, to be fair, the whole season, I think we've been in second gear. And like you said, there's circumstances to that in terms of we've not had the team he wants to play. Again, it's another game at the weekend. We've not been able to play the same team twice in a row, I think. Obviously, because Goldson wasn't there. You could say midfield to front was the same, but it's another player that we've not been able to play the same 11. But yeah, I mean, the first half I thought was what it was, to be honest. Second half, I thought Rangers started all right, and then just a route one ball over the top. O'Halloran does get a bit of joy for Hollander in terms of it. He gets mixed up with it. It's a good finish, to be fair, from O'Halloran, but at that point, I'll be honest, I was thinking, oh no, Dundee United all over again. What were you thinking at that point?
Yeah, scars of the past few seasons, not last season, but the seasons before that. I think the scars of the past are always going to kind of kick about. That changes at the end of the game, my thoughts on that. But that's always there when you're watching the game. Just think, how are we going to get out of this? Because you know what's going to happen. St Johnstone are just going to sit back deep and then just say, come on, show us what you can do. And boy, did we. But with the O'Halloran goal, Helander kind of slipped. And I noticed that a couple of times in the first half as well, that Tav slipped on quite a few occasions. It only seemed to be our players that were doing it, so I don't know if the boots weren't up to scratch or if it was something with the pitch that maybe weren't used to. But I did notice that we were sliding about a few times during the game.
But after they scored, I mean, you said scar tissue, which we mentioned last season a lot of time. You could go back to 2 years ago. A Rangers team may have folded at that point, but you've got to give the team credit. I thought that actually gave Rangers a kick up the arse, to be honest, because immediately we went up the park and I think Joe Aribo played in Tav, fizzed a ball across, and Morelos was he was a boss here from putting it in the back of the net, and at that point,
was just a wee bit too fast.
He spun it in a bit too much, and at that point, Rangers were starting to play. They were moving the ball quicker, which we need to do especially against these teams that just sit in. And obviously, the penalty came again. It was quick feet again, and Ryan Kent was taken down. Stonewall penalty for me. Kamar Roof steps up and takes a penalty instead of Tav. I like to see strikers hit penalties. I was watching the pub at the time. There was a lot of guys getting excited, and I was going, well, hold on a second. You're not great at penalties, to be honest. And Roof missed his last penalty against Xander Clark, or Clark saved it, I think, last time. So, and he does that funny wee run-up, Roof, as well, which I'm not a fan of. But to be fair, puts it straight down the middle and gets us right back into the game with a good, I don't know, was it 30 minutes left to play? Maybe just slightly more than 30 minutes. So what was your feelings in Kamar Roof taking a penalty, and do you think he will be the penalty taker going forward?
Yeah, I mentioned this at the weekend. I'm quite a fan, like yourself, of strikers taking penalties, unless you've got someone in your team that you know is absolutely dynamite at them. Yeah, well, aye, true that. But unless you've got someone else in your team that you know is brilliant at them, then I've always got the preference that a striker takes the penalty. It was about 5 minutes after St Johnstone scored, so we got back into it straight away. And as you say, get half an hour to go. On the penalty takers going forward, I've not got any real worries. If it's Tav, if it's Roof, as you say, don't be Morelos, because we've seen a few sclaffs from him throughout the years. But I've got no concerns. Whoever's feeling more confident at the time, and I think Gerard alluded to that in the post-match interview.
Yeah, no, he did. He said in his aftermatch, Gerrard, that doesn't bother him, to be honest. And a lot of football teams have a set penalty taker, and that's the end of the day. I mean, you see a lot of these teams when the guy's out going on a hat trick and they argue about the penalty, etc. But no, fair play to Roof and Tav as well for saying, no, I'll let you take this penalty. And no, it got us back into the game. And at that point, to be honest, I thought, no, with 30 plus minutes left on the clock, we've got a right good chance. I knew St Johnstone would just sit in as they were doing the whole game. And again, try and play the long balls. There was a couple of chances. I think it was Ali Crawford had a good chance where, again, O'Halloran sort of got away from Hollander, pulls it back. Tav slides in at the last moment and kind of probably puts him off, and it goes over the bar. And it was probably their best chance, to be honest. And then 79 minutes, I think it was, we're again playing on the edge of the box. Ryan Kent picks the ball up, pulls it out to Tav, and he whips an absolute delicious shot right over Xander Clark, who, let's be honest, Xander Clark is 6 foot, God knows what, he's a big guy, and to get the dip, to get that ball up and down into the back of the net, already for me, a contender for goal of the season. And Tav showing why he's the Rangers captain, stepped up, took the responsibility, and at that point when we went 2-1 up, I thought, no, I think we'll see this out. And it was a fantastic goal. What's your thoughts on the goal?
Oh, it was brilliant. Absolutely stunning. I think it's probably one of Tav's best goals that he scored.
Similar to the Hibs goal he scored years ago at Ibrox, remember that one?
I said it was a league at the weekend, but it was in the Challenge Cup, yeah? Is that the one you're thinking of?
One at Ibrox where he won 1-0 ages ago and he got a bit of dip and went down.
I'm thinking of the Challenge Cup game in his first game, yeah. But no, it was an absolutely brilliant goal. So more of that, please, Tav.
Yeah. And to be honest, I thought Rangers seen the game out quite well. They gave their, as we always do for some bloody reason, a corner kick to the opposing team all the time. It happened against Celtic, happened again against St Johnstone the weekend in the last seconds. Xander Clark comes up to our penalty box again, and a lot of guys in the pub had flashbacks of, oh, not again, man. But you could see the Rangers players were saying, like, somebody get onto him. And to be fair, the ball in the box was way behind him. He dealt with it. And yeah, out at McDermott Park, 2-1 win. I thought that was a huge win for Rangers. A couple of tricky games at the start of the season, Rangers, but I thought that's one. We've been asking for Rangers to kick on. We've won our last 3 in the league, I think, now. So hopefully we can go on a run. The games we've got coming up are favourable, although a couple of tricky ones, but they are favourable. But I thought it was a good result against a well-organised St Johnstone team. They know their role, St Johnstone. They know how to frustrate. I thought the boy, is it Craig, who went down after the penalty? I thought that was an embarrassment, to be honest, from him. To me, he should be brought up for that, trying to get Morelos sent off. I actually thought, I'll give him a bit of credit, I thought Willie Collum dealt with it quite well. Had a yellow card out straight away and had them all in a wee line as if they were 4 schoolboys and just booked them all one after the other, which I've not seen in a while. So I actually thought he'd done all right, that, to be fair. But yeah, what was your feelings after that result? Was you the same as me, thinking that's a massive 3 points for us moving forward?
Yeah, a big result, and it just kind of reconfirms what we were doing last season. And 2 seasons ago, these are the types of games where we would either come away with a defeat or a draw at the very best. But it just reconfirms that this team they know how to go out and win these games. So it just gives me the utmost confidence going forward, because like I say, we are starting far too slowly at the minute. So get that nailed down, then I think we'll be okay in the league going forward for the time being.
Yeah, no, I thought Rangers showed a lot of character at the weekend, and I was delighted it did not ruin my Saturday. So yeah, it was a good Saturday.
I might have stayed in the house.
I know, but moving on, we will just touch on briefly the B team were playing last night. They were playing in the Cup against Ayr United. Obviously, we've watched the B team once this year. I would have went last night, but I was working away, so I couldn't go. But we've had discussions in the B team in terms of the league there, and they are humping teams, to be polite, in that league. Are they getting a good enough test? This last night was a good test for them. even though they lost 3-0, I was kind of following it through the Twitter feed. I think they did quite well, Rangers, up to just before half-time when Ayr United got a goal. But I think they did themselves quite proud, that Rangers team, and probably the type of test that team needs now and again, just to not bring them down to earth, but that's the type of games it should be. It will be a test for them, because Ayr United are a team probably looking at playoffs in the Championship this year. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, as you rightly say, in the Lowland League, we seem to be doing really, really well. I mean, we beat Bonnyrigg Rose at the weekend, and they were sitting top of the league, or joint top with us at the time. And I think that level of league is probably, we need to be playing slightly higher than that, with all due respect to the rest of the league. But yeah, going up against a team like Ayr that will have ex-pro professionals, a lot of the guys in the Lowland League will just be semi-pro, I would imagine. Whereas a team like Ayr, you'll have ex-players that have got Premiership experience, got good Championship experience as well. So it was always a tough ask, I think, to get through in that game. I'm like yourself, I would have went along, but I ended up not finishing work until about 10:30 last night, and completely forgot about it until I checked my Twitter once I'd finished work. So I think it would be great if we could get up the leagues a wee bit, the B team. If they let us do that. I don't know if it'll ever happen, because I think they do need tested a wee bit higher quality than we currently get in the Lowland League. But unlucky for them last night.
Yeah, I mean,
in fact, also just wanted to make a point. I seen Leon King went off with a knock potentially, which is another. I know you didn't touch on Helander in the St Johnstone kind of cover back there, but that's another centre half picking up a wee knock. Seems to be all happening in there at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I'll come on to that in the presser, but hopefully he's all right, Leon King. But yeah, in terms of the B team, I think the game we actually went and seen was probably not the worst game to see in terms of the 1-9-0, but the opposition, the quality of the opposition wasn't great. I would like to go back, and we've all said it, maybe go back, maybe over, I don't know if they're playing over the international weekend, to go and see them against a better team within that league, an East Kilbride or somebody, just to see what they're like against a better team. But no, I mean, if people haven't been down to the B team down at Dumbarton, it's well worth going down. We've mentioned previously on this, it's a good one to bring the kids along to as well, and the value for money I think is really good. So yeah, that's enough on the B team. But you've got something else to touch on, Scotia, on an email that Rangers sent about an hour ago.
Yeah, the email came through from if you remember, Imagers, talking about registering for tickets for the Dundee game on this 25th of September at Dens Park. Basically, you've got until tomorrow morning, let's say Thursday the 16th of September at 9 a.m. to register your interest. But what the email does talk about is that there were up to 400 people had registered their interest in the game, but then didn't take up their allocation in the ballot. So there's potentially 400 people that missed out on the chance, and they would have actually went along. It also means that those 400 people that have done that are now kind of down at the bottom of the list in terms of the ballots for future away games. So that's something to keep in mind if you end up clicking the interest to register.
Yeah, no, and they did say the ticket price isn't out and the full allocation isn't out because Dundee haven't basically done that yet. So we'll need to wait in terms of what the allocation will be and what the ticket price will be. But that game, a week on Saturday, 3 o'clock kickoff, isn't on the telly. It's not on Sky Sports. So yeah, there'll be a lot of guys want to go to that one in terms of, because it's not on the TV. So yeah, we'll just need to see what comes from that. But jumping on to tomorrow night against Lyon, did you watch the presser today?
Yeah, I did manage to squeeze them both in.
That's good. So you done your job. At least you watched that presser. Unlike Jamie, eh?
It's Jamie that doesn't.
Jamie's never going to live that one down, is he? But no, today it was Gerard and Tav, which I like to see as the captain, especially when we're starting our adventure in the Europa League in the group stages. So it's good to see the captain out as well. But yeah, Gerard was up first. He was asked on the obviously Lyon start in their league form hasn't been brilliant. I'll come on to that later on in terms of they're sitting, I think, 7th in the French league at the moment. But he obviously said there's a new manager in there, and it takes time in terms of getting a team together and how he wants them to play as well. He referred to Lyon as a Champions League team, which I think we've all referred to that when the draw came out. He was obviously asked, and Gerard Houllier was the ex-manager there, in terms of, sadly he passed away. And he basically says he was the guy that gave his opportunity, and he hopes that he's tomorrow night he'll be watching down in the game for both sides in terms of Lyon and Rangers, because he's obviously managing Rangers. And then he touched on some good news and bad news, to be honest, in terms of the injury front. Hollander is he's had surgery, and they did ask him later on in terms of how long do you think he'll be out. He can't give that date until we really know, but he did say it's going to be months, to be honest, which is a huge blow, because Hollander's had if you take the game of the weekend out of the way, he's had a great few weeks in terms of the goal against Celtic. He's played for Sweden. He brought ABBA back as well, so he's had a good couple of weeks, Hollander. But that's a major blow, Hollander. But on the positive side, Connor Goldson's going to be available tomorrow, which I think is absolutely massive. So, I mean, I'll come back onto the presser, but just quickly, Scotia, what's your thoughts on first Hollander missing for which looks like possibly up to next year, and obviously Goldson coming back in as well?
Yeah, on Hollander, it's gutting, really, because like you said earlier, I think he probably is our best natural defender. He's been playing really well for us recently. He's finally broke into the starting 11 of the Sweden team, and now, so obviously he's going to miss the international games in October and September for them, which is a blow for him personally, I would imagine. So you'd never like seeing a player being out for a long period of time. But unfortunately, these things do happen. So hope he's okay, and hope the recovery goes well, and it's not too much longer. And like as you say, maybe December, turn of the year time until we.
He's done it. I mean, he's done it. Sorry, I mean, he's done it before in terms of when he got injured against Celtic in that League Cup final, and he came back and he was brilliant last season. So, I mean, you hope he'll do the exact same again.
Yeah, definitely. And then now in Goldson being back tomorrow is absolutely fantastic news. Best news of the press conference. Biggest thing I took away from the press conference. So I don't know if there was any kind of sort of dark arts getting played in the press conference earlier in the week when they were saying Goldson was out. Probably not. But it's just great to have him back in for tomorrow night, because that was going to be a big concern for us in terms of the centre half pairing for tomorrow night.
Yeah, he's massive, Goldson. I was having a discussion in the pub at the weekend in terms of one of the guys in the pub we know isn't a Goldson fan, and I was saying, but he offers to me, he's a ball playing centre half, Goldson. We can mix our game up a wee bit when we play Goldson in terms of we can ping long balls. Hollander and Balogun can't really do that, to be honest. So I think he's a huge player for us, Goldson, going forward. So I was delighted to hear that. But he was asked on the back of that about Katic in terms of would you recall him, and he did say that he wouldn't recall him because basically he needs minutes into his legs, and if we recall him to sit on the bench, it's pointless basically. So Katic will be staying where he is. He was also asked on Hadji, where's he at the moment? He's trying to get him back. I think the Scottish government today has just changed their rules in terms of sports people coming back into the country from red countries. So he's coming hopefully back, I'd imagine, maybe for the Livingston game. But again, he can't put a date in that. He was asked about McGregor as well. He had a slight niggle at the weekend, so that's why he didn't risk him. But he's fully fit and available too. Tomorrow night's obviously his 50th European game, which is a lot of European games for Steven Gerrard in 4 years he's been with Rangers, which is a remarkable achievement. He says he's enjoyed the ride in terms of being a manager, and also it's a big selling point in terms of him bringing players into the club that we're in Europe. And also he was asked to get into the Lyon team. He basically said Champions League team again, but tomorrow we need to play our own game, be brave, and take the game to them. So yeah, that was pretty much Gerrard in the press conference. Was there anything else you took from that at all?
No, I think you've covered most of it. One thing he did, he got asked about, progressing further than we have done previously. And he mentioned, obviously Lyon being top seeds, things like that. But my concern is with finishing second, you need to play one of the dropout teams from the Champions League. That's my only worry, because there's some good groups in that Champions League this year. And one of the third teams could be of a team as good, if not better quality than Lyon and the likes. So
yeah, but if you want to get further in these competitions, you need to play these teams, to be honest. So yeah, we'll just need to see where it takes us in terms of the group stages. But next up was the captain, Tav. So again, they were asking about the European nights at Ibrox. He was saying he loves these big games under the lights, obviously with the fans. He says it brings the best out in this Rangers team, and he can't wait to get going. Obviously, they touched about in terms of previous years, in terms of Rangers getting to past the group stages, etc. He says that they always want to try and beat that, and that's their aim, is to go one step further if possible. But we need to take the group stages first. We need to get out of the group first, and then we'll take it from there. And he was also asked in terms of the Lyon front line. Obviously, we'll come on to it in terms of the actual match, but Dembele isn't going to be there. But he basically said that their front line's really good, and we'll need to be on it, and we'll need to be switched on to cope with them. And obviously, they asked about Dembele. Is it a big boost in terms of he's not going to be there? But I think Gerrard alluded to it as well, in terms of Lyon have a lot of quality to bring in, even though they don't have Dembele. So whoever comes in will fill his boots, no doubt. And last one was kind of the evolution of the team from when he kind of started with Rangers. Obviously, he's been with the Progress Niederkorn, which from all those years ago, in terms of where Rangers are now. And he talked about how Gerrard's transferred the club inside and out, and basically back to how Rangers should be in terms of a major force in Europe. And he also said, they asked about would a lot of teams want to avoid Rangers in this competition. He basically said, yeah, a lot of teams have said to him that they would want to avoid Rangers, because we are a force to be had, especially in this Europa League in terms of the last few years. So what was your thoughts on Tav in the press conference?
Yeah, I enjoyed Tav's one. Again, it's the player one. The player ones always are always fairly similar.
Not great, is it?
Same questions kind of thing. But I like Tav. He speaks well. Then he mentioned he was speaking with his wee brother as well about how they were getting pinned. You always get pinned back in those last 5 minutes of games.
Yeah.
But yeah, good to hear from Tav. Good that he's available, playing well, that goal. So yeah, enjoyed that one as well.
No, I'm the same. See, I like the Gerrard interviews, but see when they come on to the players, it's the same kind of stuff, to be honest, and it's kind of repeating the stuff of what Gerrard said. But yeah, it was good. Like I said earlier on, it was good that Tav was doing the presser, because it is an important game for the club in terms of being in the group stages again and going forward. So yeah, we'll move on from that, and we'll touch on the game. So Lyon, we've obviously played previously. We played them in that cup in pre-season a couple of years ago. We beat them 2-0. We've played them obviously Champions League before with Walter Smith, where we beat them 3-0 away from home, which was probably one of the best away European games I've watched. It was a brilliant result, but then the home tie was flipped on its head, and it was 3-0 Lyon. Darshville missed a sitter, but that's what happened in terms of the road to Manchester. If Darshville had scored that and it was one each, we would have never been to Manchester. Never know, we might have went to Champions League final that year. But yeah, that was that. But in terms of Lyon at the moment, they're sitting 7th in their league at the moment. They've only played 5 games. They've won 2, they've drawn 2, and they've lost 1. The last game they played was Strasbourg at the weekend, where they won 3-1. They've got a new manager, Peter Bosz, I think that's how you pronounce his name, who's the ex-Bayer Leverkusen manager, who obviously played against us last year. So he'll have a bit of knowledge on this Rangers team. The atmosphere at Ibrox, he's experienced that as well. So he'll be probably quite confident in terms of he'll know how we're going to play Rangers in terms of he's played us before. And they're pot 1 Lyon. So as Gerrard alluded in the press conference, they has been pot 1. They'll be favourites to top the group. as we said, Moussa Dembele is not available for the game, which I think is a boost, to be honest. He is although we don't like him as he played for the other side of the city, he is a good player. I'm man enough to say he's a good player. He would cause us problems, but he's not going to be there. So, but the other one, I was rumours the other night, Shaqiri might not come because he had done 2 vaccinations or something, but he's part of the squad and has travelled. And also because of the COVID rules been changed by the Scottish Government today, there is the 3 players that were ruled out. I think 2 Brazilians and 1 other guy, I'm not sure where he was from, because they were in red areas with international duty. They are now available because they can come back into the squad. So what's your thoughts on this Lyon team, Scotia?
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping to watch the game actually against Strasbourg on Sunday night because it was on BT Sport 3, but other things get in the way of that. But yeah, Lyon, as you say, pot 1 team. I don't think they're as good as they were a couple of years ago when they got to the semi-finals of the Champions League. I think they beat Man City and who else did they beat? Did they beat Barcelona as well? And then they get put out by Bayern Munich, I think.
Oh, they might
so
have.
I don't think they're as good as that team were. And as you mentioned, because Boz has come in, new manager, I think it obviously does take a wee bit of time because he comes in with new ideas. Dembele's missing. I think he's their top scorer this season so far. They've also got Denier who obviously played with Celtic in the past as well. And I think he's come on leaps and bounds since we last seen him play, because I know he was in the Belgian squad for the Euros in the summer there. I think they're also missing Dubois, their captain. So that's their captain and vice captain, both missing for this game. Don't know how important that'll be. They also play Paris Saint-Germain on Sunday night in the league, in Ligue 1. So I don't know if they would look at this game as a chance to rest players for that. I don't know what one they're considering the more important at this time, because it's the first game. So I don't know if that would even enter their mind or not. But it was interesting when I'd seen their kind of next few fixtures, that one immediately popped up, because you would imagine Lyon are wanting to be challenging for that Ligue 1 title. So I think in terms of, I was just going to say, in terms of teams we've faced, I reckon Leverkusen, under Gerrard, Leverkusen have probably been the hardest and best side that we've placed. I'd probably put Lyon just beneath them, and what I've not seen much of them, but from what I've read and from what I've heard other people saying, I'd probably put them just beneath the Leverkusen team that we played, probably in a similar mould to your Portos and Benficas.
Yeah, I'm the same. I've not seen Lyon at all. The last time I seen Lyon was when we played them in that cup in the pre-season matches. But I would probably put them along the lines of what you've said there as well. The good thing about the European ties and a team like Lyon is they're not going to come sitting at Ibrox like Motherwell will do at the weekend. No doubt they'll come and have a go at Rangers, and they'll play football, which is good, which means we can then play our game. So I think it'll be a good game of football. I really do, and it'll be interesting in terms of the lineup. The Rangers tomorrow night. We'll obviously come on to that in terms of what you think the lineup's going to be. But yeah, I think it could be a good game tomorrow night. What we are expected to get out of it, I don't know. As a point, a bad result for Rangers tomorrow night, I would say that's a decent result for Rangers. But you always want to win your home games. If you can win all your home games in these group stages, you're pretty much into the next round of the Europa League. So that's what Gerrard will be looking at. And we've got a great record at Ibrox in terms of European football and domestically as well. So he'll be going out telling Rangers, play your own game, like he said in the press conference, and have a go at Lyon, and don't have any regrets or anything. I don't think Rangers will change in terms of what they usually do. So, yeah. So, basically, coming on to the teams, which is interesting because I had 2 kind of different teams today. So, what's your team for tomorrow night?
Yeah, I've got 2 teams that I've been toying with. So, in fact, they're probably both very similar, if not the same as yours.
Yeah.
So, backline in McGregor, Tav, Goldson, Balogun, and Barisic. Midfield, the Kamara, Davis, and Lundstrom, I think, might play. And then up front, Kent, Morelos, and Aribo. That's the team I'm going for. I've got one that's slightly different, but let you go with yours.
Yeah, I'm similar to you in terms of I think he might bring somebody in the midfield for a bit more steel, if you know what I mean. So my backline's the exact same as you, which I think pretty much every Rangers fan will be. The only one you could possibly say is Bassey, but I can't see it. I think Barisic will come right back in there, especially European tie. My midfield three is Kamara, Davis. I think he might bring Scott Arfield back in there. I think he likes Arfield in European competition. He's been there. He's done it at Arfield. He can link between the midfield and the front lines. I could see Arfield starting. And my front three is the exact same as you as well. I think it'll be Kent, Morelos and Aribo as well. I did think possibly Scott Wright in terms of they'll have a go at us and they might be there to go at the back, but he can't drop Aribo for me. So that's my starting lineup as well. And the two of us haven't put Kamar Roof in there either, which is just surprising.
No,
but sorry, here you go.
No, I was going to say I kind of had the team that I had with Lundstrom. It was either a toss-up between Lundstrom and Arfield in that one, but I don't think Arfield's not really played very much recently. That was my only concern for not putting him in, whereas Lundstrom's came off the bench a few times recently, and he's looked as if he's getting up to speed now, Lundstrom, after your earlier season slating of him. But I also thought that a potential would be that he would just play the exact same sort of forward six that he did at the weekend there.
Yeah.
But I think in the first half we weren't getting much joy with it, to be honest. So I would push Aribo further forward.
Yeah, my thinkings was the same. I was thinking along the same lines. Would he play the same front six again? It's an easy one to pick, to be honest. But sometimes I think Morelos and Roof, I just don't think they work at times. They're probably maybe suited to different games. I like Aribo in that forward position on the right. I think he can cause damage down there, especially with his quick feet. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow night. No doubt we'll be wrong. There'll be a curveball thrown in somewhere. You never know. But yeah, score predictions for tomorrow night, Scotia. You're always quite positive, to be honest. So you've probably got some ridiculous scoreline. What have you got?
No, I wouldn't say it's overly positive, but it's not negative, I don't think. I'm going for 2 each.
What are you going for a draw? So you're just going to see a lot of goals in this game then?
I could see him playing this like you play an away European game potentially. Lyon, I think, will have an awful lot of the ball, and I don't want it to get to the stage where we're like with Benfica and Porto, where you're losing loads of goals if you go a wee bit too gung ho.
Yeah. To be fair, a lot of European ties we've played, it has been a bit back and forth in terms of goals in a lot of these games, and it's not been great for the heart, to be honest. In terms of last year, Royal Antwerp springs to mind, but I'm the same as you. I think they'll score, Lyon, but I'm going to go more positive, Scotia. I'm going to go 2-1 Rangers, and I think Morelos will get another European goal again. So yeah,
hopefully you're right and I'm wrong. Yeah,
hopefully I'm right. So to be honest, if somebody offered me a draw, I'd probably take a draw. But yeah, 2-1. I'm going 2-1 Rangers. Alfie score one of the goals. So yeah, that's everything, Scotia. We'll have that wrapped up. So yeah, if you like this, if you can jump on to our social medias. We're on Facebook. We are on Instagram. We are also on Twitter as well. So yeah, we're trying to get our actually YouTube followers up to 1,000. We're not too far away. Scotia said when we hit 1,000, he'd take all the podders out for a night out on him. So if we could hit the 1,000, that'd be most appreciated.
First I've heard of this.
We're also to be found on Acast, Spotify as well, and like I said, YouTube as well. So yeah, Scotia, thank you for coming on and saving the day.
Aye, no worries. Cheers, good to speak to you, and I'll see you tomorrow night.
I will see you tomorrow night. So yeah, that has been Club at 22, the Rangers podcast, the Champions podcast, and we will be back tomorrow with a match reaction, which will probably be myself and Jamie. I think Carney might be coming on as well. So we'll be back tomorrow night. Thanks again, and we'll see you again.